Thanks. So, regards to Brazil, and good morning, Europe and Africa. Good afternoon, Asia and Australia. And I hope you spend good time with me talking about this topic. My name is Remik. I am a co-founder of Lean Enterprise Institute Poland. And for the last 20 years, I work with the companies as a coach, helping them transform. I start by lean transformations in manufacturing business. Then for several years I worked with service companies, and last years I also worked with IT organizations trying to implement lean and agile. And lately I receive a lot of questions from companies we work with, like this. We applied lean. Should we maybe now apply agile? Or we applied agile. Should we maybe go on with lean? Or Remik, we are not manufacturing, not software, but we want to improve our business. Should we go on with lean or agile or combination of both? So I hope this presentation will answer all these kind of questions. So on very general level, lean and agile have a lot in common. So for the first, these two concepts, this is a chance for us, if we apply them properly, to significantly improve our results. Not little bit, but significantly. And the part of these two concepts is also continuous improvement, which means that when we apply this concept, we also apply a capability of organization to improve results continuously. So this is a big chance if we do it properly. But also there is a big threat connected to these concepts. Both in concepts are trendy. A lot of people want to try lean or agile because it's fashionable, it's trendy. A lot of people are talking about this. And the threat is implementation of rituals. And to be honest, I visited probably hundreds of companies. In most companies claiming that they apply lean on agile, in most of them, I rather see implementation of rituals. And today I would like also tell you, in my opinion, how to avoid this threat, this trap to go into implementation rituals instead of real transformation. So let me give you some simple example of rituals. I once visited a software company. They told me, Remik, we applied Agile, but we want to be more efficient. We want to have shorter time of IT projects, be more productive, better quality, and so on. So I started with a Gemba walk. So I spent many hours observing how people work before beginning the discussion on what we can do together in this company. So I went to one software development team, and I spent some time with developers, with system analysts, with testers. And first developer I sat beside him, and I observed his work. And I supposed he will be writing a code, right? Because he was developer. But what he was doing, he was calling to a lot of persons. And I asked him, why are you calling all of these people? Are you not here to write a code? And he told me, no, I can't write a code. I need to call all these people because today I want to implement a function. And in documentation, this function is, of course, described. And also there is described the result this function should return. But I feel the documentation in this case is wrong. So I called to different people who know better. So finally he found a guy who really knew what should be the returned value of the function. And it was different than in documentation. So this developer, he didn't correct documentation. He immediately started to implement the function. And the function was very simple. So it took him less time actually than calling all these people. So it was of course interesting observation, but then I went to observe another software developer, and he actually was writing a code. So I asked him what he's doing today. And he said, today I'm rewriting a function I already implemented 2 months ago. So I asked him, why you do the same function again? And he said, because 2 months ago, I received customer specification, and generally it was okay, but some details were missing. So I made some assumptions. And yesterday we received more detailed customer customer needs specification, and I realized that my assumptions were wrong. So I need to refactor this function. And I visited other people in this team, and I quickly realized that the biggest problems of this team are errors in documentation and incomplete customer specification, customer needs specification. So, and these were two problems which prevented this team from being more productive, from creating better quality software and creating it on time. So it happened that the very next day, artists participated in retro meeting, and people who knows Agile or Scrum, you know that retro meeting or retrospection meeting is a problem-solving meeting. So during retro meeting, team talks about problems they have. They pick up one problem, for example, and they try to solve it to eliminate this problem, and in this way to improve their efficiency. So I expected that they will be talking about these two problems. But during this retro meeting, they talked about a lot of problems, but not about these two. So after a meeting, I talked to Scrum Master, who was conducting the whole meeting. And I asked him, why haven't you talked about these two problems? These are really biggest problem in this team. And he told me, yes, these are big problems, but we cannot do anything about it. You know, errors in documentation, it happens, and incomplete customer specification, you know, it depends on customer. We have no influence on customer. So I was surprised because I thought that retro is really about solving problems. But then I asked Scrum Master, what do you think? Tell me, in your opinion, what is your role here? And he told me, my role, my responsibility is to lead retro meeting according to checklist in Scrum Master guide. So this Scrum Master thought that his role in the team is not to facilitating problem solving, is just to check in all the elements of the agenda from the checklist. So this is implementing of rituals. This team didn't solve their problems. They didn't improve anything. But of course, they practice rituals. But on the other hand, when we come back to the books written by creators or co-creators of Lean or Agile, like Taichi Ono book or Jeff Sutherland book, they clearly stated they developed these methods, these concepts, to produce cars/software faster, cheaper, and with better quality. So they did it to improve results. And the title of this presentation is How to Combine Lean and Agile wisely. To me, wisely means in a way that will bring you results. And the biggest problem that this threat of ritualization comes from our approach to transformation. In many companies, in many big corporations, even famous ones, I saw a lot of transformation programs or lean implementation, agile programs, which were focused on implementing tools and methods. So they had a list of tools and methods, and they wanted to implement it everywhere in their corporation. If you focus on tools and methods, like for example, you say we implement DMake and next year sprint and next year E3 reports and next year leader standard work because it's so important, right? If you focus on implementing tools, sooner or later, someone in organization will come back with the questions. What are benefits of these lean or agile implementations? What are benefits of all these tools? And people will try to calculate it. So if you don't see the results of lean or agile and you spend your time or on finding out how to prove that these concepts really help us, probably you are in the mode of tools and methods implementation. Of course, there is nothing wrong about tools and methods. They are helpful, but implementing them is not the transformation. Transformation starts with another question, not a list of methods and tools you want to implement. It starts from such questions like these. What is our strategic objective? And in manufacturing company, it could be to reduce cost and improve quality. In software company, it should be to reduce lead time and create software without bugs. And hospital, it will be to decrease mortality factor. In sales organization, it could be to increase sales, but you need to start with strategic objective. Then the next question is, what processes do we need to achieve it? What processes in our organization are critical to achieve this objective? Then how to organize these processes right? And the same about people, what competencies we need, how to involve right people with these competencies, how to develop these people. And finally, the last question is how to create the right environment to let people continuously improve processes and competences. This is transformation path. If you do transformation, you will never ask what are benefits of lean or agile, because this transformation is strongly connected to your strategic objectives. You will see if you increase your quality, if you will see if you increase sales, right? Because all the transformation you do to achieve the objective, the strategic objectives. So this is theory. It's easy to say, guys, don't go with tools and methods path, do transformation instead. But this is theory, and I would like to give you very practical hints, practical guidelines how to follow transformation path instead of tools and methods path. This is a method. We call this method 8-step model or Kubiak's model. Kubiak is an expert from our institute who developed this 8-step model. These are 8 steps you can do to really transform your companies using lean or agile or both, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what organization you are. This is quite universal path. How to transform your organization, and you can apply this path both to corporation on corporate level, department level, or team level. I would like to explain it using team level. So let's think about one team we want to transform. So the first step is to understand what is the role and what are objectives of the team, of course. The next step is to understand what processes and tasks are key to achieve our objectives. Then the next step, number 3, is how we can visually manage work, manage processes and tasks to be sure that they are going according to what we want them to do. Then the step 4 is to clearly assign responsibilities in the team and to decide how we will develop people. Then step number 5 is how we control our processes so we know if everything is okay today or we have problem. Then how we communicate in the team about problems, how we respond to the problems, and finally, what is leaders' role in our team, how leaders should behave, what should be standard work of leaders, and so on. So this is a transformation path. This is a set of questions we need to answer. Answering these questions, we transform our organization, in this case, team. And Methods and tools, they are not in the center of transformation, they are around it. So there's a lot of methods and tools available around us. So don't use them like this. I've read about Trello. Trello is nice software. Now we implement Trello application, and this is how we will manage visually our work. This is not like this. When we come to step number 3, visual work management, we know the characteristics of our processes. We know what are our strategic objectives. So within step 3, we can select right methods and tools which are well suited to our specific needs. So don't choose methods and tools randomly. Maybe we use Kanban, maybe we use Kanban, maybe we use, I don't know, hourly boards. No, you need to find methods and tools which are which are compatible with your processes. And within the rest steps like team control, team communication, you can find also right methods and tools, but methods and tools are the next step. They are not in the middle of transformation. And of course, lean and agile comes with a lot of methods and tools. But if you think lean or agile, you have to remember that on a general level, these concepts are very similar. So the general rules of efficient organization are the same. So people in manufacturing and people in software, they realize the same things about how to organize their work in an efficient way. So both these concepts rely on elimination of overproduction, work leveling, quality, and the source. On general level, they are very similar. But in details, of course, they are different. Daily Scrum meeting in a software company is a little bit different than shift meeting in manufacturing company. So in details, on the level of tools and methods, of course, these concepts are different because they were developed in different environments, in manufacturing and software development. So when it comes to methods and tools, and you have decision to make, what method I need to use, for example, to visually manage my work, or what method should I select to develop my team. You need to know that today, we really have a lot of methods and tools available. And for example, let's take the work control, visual work control. So in manufacturing, for example, we use hourly boards. In typical manufacturing lean, hourly boards. In typical software agile, we often use Kanban board to do in progress done. But if you are not manufacturing company nor software, if you are in, for example, financial services, healthcare, product development, all these kind of activities, you can of course use hourly board, you can use Kanban board, but there is many other options. So sometimes instead of thinking, should I use manufacturing lean or software lean, think about other options which are much better for specific needs of your processes, of your strategic objectives, of your team. And let me give you 2 examples. First case study comes from a team of designers who develop controllers for white goods. So white goods, this team developed controllers for, I don't know, refrigerators, for dishwashers, for washing machines, this kind of stuff. And this team of engineers, they have 2 objectives. They need to prepare prototypes timely. So usually they have 3 months to prepare the prototype of new controller to show it to customers. And objective number 2 is zero defects. Zero defects means that when we show our prototype to potential customer, which is OEM producer of, for example, refrigerators, we want these prototypes meet all customer demands. demands. We don't want to have prototypes with something missing, with something where something is out of specification. So we have time objective and quality objective. So according to our 8-step model, we start with objectives, and the next question is what processes and tasks are key to achieve these objectives. And of course, in this team, the key process is project execution. So these are characteristics of the process. Before we answer next questions, how we will visually manage project execution, let's look deeper in the characteristics of this key process. So for the first, every project is carried out by one engineer, not the team of engineers, by one engineer. The second, the new design is based on 8 standard solutions, so these engineers do not develop something from scratch. They took one of 8 standard solutions and modify it. And the third characteristic is that project always consists of 4 stages. And we have 3 months to carry out all these 4 stages. It's analysis, design, and first prototyping, then testing, and then making final prototype. So this is how this team decides to visually manage their work. So for the first, they decided to have weekly team meetings. They said, we don't need daily meetings. Why? Because if one person carries out a project, this person doesn't need every day communicate with other engineers. So weekly meetings are okay for us. And during these weekly meetings, we will check these 4 milestones of the projects, if we are on time or not. So they created such board. This is not hourly board, like in manufacturing. This is not Kanban board, like in many software companies. This is board perfectly suited to the needs of this particular team. So for example, of this board engineer named SK, now he executes project P1. Now we have week number 7, and these are 4 phases of the project. Phase 1, analysis. Third, analysis. Phase 3 is testing. And at the beginning, all the milestones are yellow. And if in the 7th week, this engineer finished phase 3, he changed color from yellow to green, which means I made it. So we see that SK is made phase 3 on time in this week. BH engineer, who is responsible for project P3, is not on time. We have problem here. Leader needs to react. Leader needs to talk to the team, what we do with this. And F1 project is on time. So this is the example of visual control, which was developed by the members of this team, which is best solution to visually manage the work of team, right? Second case study. Second case study is marketing in pandemic year. By pandemic year, I mean 2020, when everything began. So let's start with objectives. So in this marketing team, there are 2 objectives. Effective promotion of new products. Effective means that we reach target number of customers, right? And objective number 2 is marketing cost within budget. And what is key process? Key process is conducting advertising campaigns. So this team has to change the way they do this process. The process changed. This team has, before COVID, they have quite well organized work. They really managed their work visually very well. But in pandemic year, the way they organized the key process had to change. So they had to change the way they manage the process. Because before pandemic, the new product launch plan was defined for a whole year. During pandemic year, there was a lot of sudden decision to introduce new products. Before pandemic, new products were similar to the old ones. In pandemic year, the new products were completely different. And before pandemic, they know which promotion channels work best, and they had a good advertising plan for the whole year. But in pandemic years, they need to do a lot of experiments. So they decide to apply something similar to Scrum. So they define marketing actions only 4 weeks ahead, not for the whole year. And during 4 weeks, they plan it, they implement this. So they conduct this marketing campaign, then they review results, then they do retrospection, which mean insights or conclusions. What did well, what not, what didn't work well. So they have better input how to define the advertising campaigns for the next 4 weeks. So this is short explanation how this approach works, this 8-step works. But honestly, 8-step method is based on something more universal on Lean Transformation Framework. Lean Transformation Framework in our Lean Global Network is something we think is critical for successful transformation. It consists of 5 elements: strategic objectives, process improvement, management system, people's development, and these 4 elements reflect in the 8-step methods. So we talk about strategic objectives, processes, how you manage the team, how you develop people. But there is the 5th element, which is critical for any transformation. Doesn't matter agile or lean. This is basic thinking, mindset, and assumptions. So even if you go on through these 8 steps, even if you select right tools and methods or develop if you need ones, you need to do transformation in people's mind, and you do it usually through repetition. People's minds change when they repeat new behaviors. And when you want to teach people new behaviors, you need to have a coaches. So if you have a team leader who will work within this new framework, he needs to practice, for example, problem solving every day. And he needs a coach, because in the beginning, he will have different mindset, different assumption. So for example, if you don't have a coach, for example, this Scrum Master, when he sees the problem, errors in documentation, he will say with the whole team, we cannot do nothing about it. But a good coach tell him, no, this is problem. What we do with the problem, we don't say it's impossible to solve. We think about the first step we can do to find the root causes of the problem. And then such coach works with the leader by practicing many times, not once. After practicing problem solving once, the leader will not change his mindset or assumption. You need to practice this many times. But of course, now there is the question, so if we want to do a transformation, do we need hundreds of coaches? Of course, you don't need, because we know that at the beginning for transformation, you need to coach one person, the boss of the organization. So if for example, you transform a big company, you need to transform the way of thinking of the CEO. Now, CEO could be a good coach for his directors. Every director could be a good coach for his managers, every manager for leaders. But if you do a transformation not in big corporation or big organization, we do only in one team, it's enough if we start the transformation with team leader. Doesn't matter what organization we change, we need to start with someone who is on the top of the organization unit we want to transform. So this is everything I had to say. I'm not sure if we have only 3 minutes for questions, but if you have questions and I cannot answer them today, please contact me on LinkedIn or my email address. I will give this email address on chat now, I hope. Okay. So please don't hesitate to contact me. Oh, these are in comments. To contact me, I will be happy to answer all your questions. So, yeah.
So,
Okay.
Ramik, there's
Yeah.
a comment at the end there from Nicola. Super point. Yes, there. First, understand your process and transform it rather than transforming a tool to work with a broken process. So maybe you could do some reflection over that if you would like. I think that's a good comment over the ideas.
Of course, I think Nicola, you are so right. That let me show this slide. Okay, so do you see my slide now or no?
Well, I think.
Yeah.
Jiku,
Now you should see it. The third step of our transformation process is the second are processes and tasks. So in this moment, you need to think about how to organize your processes right. Then you can go on with methods and tools to find out how to manage processes and control processes. So of course, processes are first. The visual management tools and methods are second, but also, to improve your processes or organize them in the right way, you need to use some tools and methods. So you need to define what are the best tools for my processes to analyze them, to understand how to the best way organize them. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Ramik.